Good evening. It's Tuesday. It is just gone 8 o'clock. We're a little bit late tonight. A few technical issues, but we are here ready to go for the Tuesday clinic. A lot of stuff to get through, of course. Been a disappointing weekend, wasn't it, as we know? So we've got that to talk about. We've got a couple of big games coming up this week as well. So lots of exciting things to get through. We will be starting the other side of this. So it is the Tuesday clinic ready for our therapy session tonight. We've got, of course, Melvin, as always, in a very, very nice 1997, I believe that is. Is it, Melvin?
I think it is, yeah. Number 3 for some reason.
Is it signed?
Yeah, it's signed, yeah.
Love it.
What a great top that is, by the way. A fantastic season that was as well, of course. We won the double, as we all know. So brilliant stuff. Great that Melvin's actually, going with the colours this week again. He's done it a couple of times now. He's getting
the twice about 100 times now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking. It looks very good. It looks smart. And Dorsey, of course, as well, going a little bit more modern with his selection of top tonight. Right. White, of course, for the weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought I'd stick with the theme.
Yeah, that's a nice top. That's one of my favourite ones, actually. I don't generally like a white top, but that one was one of my favourites. I've got to be honest. It's a nice,
I like it.
Smart one. Yeah, it was good. Not such a great season, that one, unfortunately. And welcome to the channel for the first time he's been on, actually. Fantastic to have you on. It's Danny, of course, from Burkout Wonderland. How you doing?
I'm very good, and my top is never worn by anyone, anything to do with Arsenal. I don't even know what it says. It's back to front. Oh, New York State. Don't even like America. That's terrible. I don't know why I'm wearing it. I'll burn it after the show.
No, don't burn it. Keep it as a souvenir of your first appearance on the channel.
Leave it framed.
Yeah, exactly. Put it on the wall. Get it signed. We'll all sign it. That's what we'll do. We'll put it on the wall. That's what it needs to.
Excellent.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome to obviously everyone watching. Welcome to the panel as well. So we have got quite a lot to talk about. Quite a lot of therapies needed, I think, after the weekend. I'm sure we all didn't really enjoy that. There's nowhere else we can start, I suppose, other than the game in the FA Cup, of course, on Sunday. So for the second year running, we suffered a rather early FA Cup exit, disappointing fashion, a poor performance. And for me, there was no real excuse in terms of the team selection because it was, not far off a full strength team. Of reserves in or played the Carabao Cup team, it was a mixture of mostly the guys that have been playing in the Premier League plus sort of 2 or 3 others. Of course, Charlie Patino was the big inclusion in the starting lineup. We are a little bit short in midfield, as we saw, but to me that was just a really, really poor performance for a competition that has been our saviour really in the last 10 years or so, hasn't it? We've won it a few times and it's kept things ticking over. It kept Wenger in his job a little bit longer than maybe he may have done. It seems to have maybe kept Arteta in his job a little bit longer than he may have done as well. And for the second year running, as I said, we've kind of thrown it away. I mean, Melvin, what did you make of it all? Because it was pretty much from start to finish. We didn't create anything. We lacked energy. We seemed to lack, I don't know, we need to lack desire and heart. Forest were bang up for that game, and we wasn't. And that was the most disappointing thing for me. The FA Cup.
Yeah, whatever it was, FA Cup, League, or whatever, we've seen performances like that. Reminded me of the Brentford game, first game of the season.
Yeah.
Where we were very disjointed. We had a weakened team. And, there's no excuses, really, because I was playing football last night, and one of the guys, the Brighton supporter, Ray, remember he come on a couple of times? He said to me, your team, I said, yeah, we had a weakened team. He said, what are you talking about? And he was right. We had enough players there to beat Nottingham Forest.
Of course we did.
No excuses.
Yeah.
But the difference is, I think our first 12, we've got 12 very good players. The layer below that is 3 divisions. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't blame Arteta for the team selection or moving them around because he had no choice. I mean, when you look at the subs bench as well, who was there? Lacazette, Tierney, and then basically that was it. But my problem's been is that if you're going to continue keeping the Kolasinacs at this club and players like that, at some stage you're going to play them, and they're going to take the place of other players that deserve to be in the squad. So really, this was a culmination of stuff. There was like, you've seen what we've seen the last 5 games was team. We played as a team on the front foot, energy. Everything was reversed. How can that be so much when you change about 4 or 5 players? It shouldn't change that much, seriously. Holding in at centre half, all right, he's not the best, but that should make no difference to the way we attacked Forest on Sunday. But it did. It couldn't make any attacks at all. So I'm a big critic of Holding, but you can't blame him for the inept up front. You know, Tavares, I think whatever he was on, he should never take it again, really, because he was definitely on something on Sunday. You know, but if he stops taking that, he might be all right. But even he never crossed the halfway line. And if he did cross the halfway line, I'm sure he wouldn't have found the ball, because he is having one of those games. It was like candid camera, wasn't it, on stilts. It was just so even. And you know what? Also, Martinelli, he was against a very good footballer. I'm surprised the manager didn't swap him and Saka. I'm really surprised, just to try it out. He didn't try that for 90 minutes. Well, however long Martinelli was off, was it 70 minutes or something? Not once did he try and switch them over to try something different. And if you want to talk about Eddie, I mean, if we want to sell him, hopefully that wasn't broadcast anywhere, that game. We might get money for him. Because if that was broadcast anywhere, I think, you know, there's no chance of getting any money at all for him. Because, I mean, that header, sorry, not the header, the noser. I think he did it with his nose. I mean, what was he thinking? One of the commentators said he was in 2 minds. It looked like he was in 5 minds. I don't know what he was trying to do. It was like chest it, head. No, 99 times out of 100, you head it. Unless you sneeze, you head it. All right. And I don't think he sneezed. It reminded me of the Everton miss he had.
At least the Everton one got near the goal, though, didn't it? Hit the post. At least it actually went towards the goal. That one was closer to the corner flag.
I think he must have hit his nose, Richard. I don't think you can head a ball and it goes that badly.
I honestly don't know what happened to that.
I thought the master stroke, if I'm going to have a go at the manager, the master stroke was Kolasinac bringing him on with about 80 seconds to go. I thought, thank God for that, because I was worried we might get knocked out. Once I was chilled out, got the old cup of tea on, got the biscuits out, and I was so relaxed. But no, it was like chalk and cheese. That performance on Sunday was chalk and cheese to what we've been seeing the last few weeks. And it's a worry that it's there at the core. So if we've got to obviously buy players, you know, they were talking about 2 players. We need about 4 or 5. We need backups, because the backups at the moment we got are not ready. And the other backups, the youngsters I'm talking about, and the backups that are old enough are not good enough. So we have to do a lot more surgery, I believe.
No, you're totally right. And what actually worries me, right, and it's always been nagging away at the back of my mind, even, you know, when we've been playing a lot better, as you said, is that this team, this squad, under this manager, this type of performance, they've got it in them on a regular basis, that it always comes back. And, you know, we can have 2 or 3 decent games, and we'll always throw in 1 of these or 2 of these, like we did at the start of December with the Everton game, Man United game, and we've done it consistently throughout Arteta's reign. And these performances are still there. And sometimes it's the similar players. Rob Holding, for example, has been there all the way through. But it's also different players that are coming in and still producing these really, really poor performances. And I don't know how it's still happening, honestly. I mean, Arteta must, whatever work he's done, and you can see the work that he's done, you can see when it comes off. It's almost like, I don't know. I mean, Dorsey, I know, you know, you've been a big supporter of Arteta, and you know, you've been proved to be probably rightly so in recent weeks. But these performances keep coming back, don't they?
They do. What I would say is they're getting fewer and further between. So whereas before, if you look maybe 12 months ago, it was maybe 1 in every 3 games. Maybe now, if you're being generous, it's 1 in every 7, 8, 9, maybe. I'm just looking at the lineup now. I don't know what age Cedric is, but you look at the rest of that starting 11, I don't think there's anyone over 24. So when you think of, and we've talked about it loads of times in this channel about leadership and the lack of leaders in that club. I know Holding was captain, but for me, he's not a leader. You looking at the team, I'd have arguably even given it to Ben White maybe that evening possibly, but I just look at that team and you look at Cedric, Holding, Nketiah, there are 3 players there that there's been a lot of rumours recently about them leaving the club, and Ketia has obviously made his own decision that he wanted to leave the club. It was an opportunity for them to really put themselves in the window and say, do you know what, I am a decent player. I can play at a good level, and none of them did it. It was a poor performance. I agree with everything that Melvin said. I don't necessarily blame Arteta for the starting lineup.
No,
we don't quite know behind the scenes how bad any COVID outbreak is. We don't know if there was other players that were maybe struggling, but yeah, it was disappointing because the competition means a lot to us as a club. And I said to you, Rich, before we went on air, I think if going out of that competition early and at the end of the season we end up getting a top 4 finish, in hindsight, you might not say it's a bad thing, but we've got obviously all the commotion with the Liverpool game getting rescheduled, which was just an absolute joke anyway. We've obviously got those 2 games to fit in now in the middle of with a North London derby to fit in. So it is frustrating, but I do think there are bigger games coming up for us, notably the weekend. It would be nice. I know we spoke about it at the start of the season about there's no excuse for not taking any of these domestic cups seriously, given the lack of Europe, So I don't know, had we had a fully fit squad with no COVID issues, would that have been the lineup that Arteta would have chosen? Probably not. There probably would have been a couple of other players in there. Not sure why Lacazette didn't start. I'd have definitely started him, but I guess it was an opportunity for Eddie to get minutes, and McKelsey's hell-bent on trying to keep him for one reason or another, and I'm not too sure why. But yeah, overall it was a frustrating performance, really lackluster, no commitment, no desire. But it was the basics. It was short passes that were just going awry, and that's not at the manager's feet. That's players just not doing the basics of the game properly. You can't necessarily point your finger at Arteta for that. But yeah, frustrating. But we move on, and it's obviously a big game against Liverpool, and then North London derby at the weekend. So I was frustrated, but I guess we just got to look at the bigger picture and hope that we can now really push for that top 4 place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to dismiss the FA Cup. No. I think it's, obviously it's our competition. I look on it as our competition, because it's the thing that we've won the most, more than anybody. And I always look at that. And every single season, I want us to do as well as we possibly can in it. And this is 2 seasons in a row. I feel we've thrown it away. And I don't blame Arteta for the team selection. I think for the game, it was a sensible team selection. It was a team strong enough on paper to have beaten Nottingham Forest. And it was, and they just didn't turn up and perform. I mean, Danny, I wanted to really talk a little bit about the Tavares substitution after 33 minutes. I mean, he hadn't had the greatest start to the game, let's be honest. And that side of the pitch down sort of Nottingham Forest right was where their danger was. But he made the substitution, which I actually felt sorry for Tavares, because you don't like to see that. It's a bit humiliating for a player not to be injured and to get substituted that early. And although Kieran Tierney came on, who's technically a better left back, where did all Nottingham Forest chances come from after that, down that same side of the pitch? The goal came from that side of the pitch. So I feel as though he's thrown Tavares under the bus. I mean, what did you make of that? I was really surprised that he made it that early.
I thought it was a touch of the Emery's there, pulling people off really early in a game. You see, I think Emery did that a few times. He down 2 or 3 people off at half time. But you've got to take into consideration the fact that the bloke who was man of the match was the bloke who was going down our right-hand side there, right back, right wing back, right midfield, or whatever position he was playing in. He had an absolutely stunning game. And I think this game has just shown what a massive gulf there is between the first team and the rest of them. We've got 12 first-team players, and the rest of them, you might as well just put them in a skip, because then they're not. I mean, this was almost like going back to the end of the Emery days, where you saw boring, dull, no enthusiasm football. And then you see Eddie up front. I was just looking at Eddie's stats, and Eddie, when you take out his stat padding in the League Cup, he's got 10 goals in 67 games. And why Mikel wants to keep him, like you're saying, absolutely no idea. And we turned down money for him, be it 10, 15, 20 million. I don't know. Nobody really knows how much it is, because I don't get an email when the club have had an offer for a player. I don't know anybody else. I don't know how people know how much has been offered. But I'm not bothered about the FA Cup. We have only got 12 first-team players. That isn't enough to fight on 3 fronts. We've got to go. What is the most important thing for our club at the moment? And that is to get top 4, because we get top 4, we get Champions League, They bring money round in a wheelbarrow for us and say, I have as much money as, what do we get for winning the FA Cup? 15 million? What, about 8 million for the League Cup? Get into the Champions League, you're looking at 40, 50, 60 million quid. Yeah. And then as soon as we get that, then all these rubbish players will be shipped out of the club. And I think, like one of you said, I think it was Melvin, that as a statement from Arteta at the end by bringing on Kolasinac. It was a little bit like a scene from Monty Python. You're only making it worse for yourself. That's what it made me think. I was just ridiculous. But I mean, you look at the FA Cup in the last 5 years, knocked out in the 3rd round twice, 4th round twice, and won it. So we've not been very much of a cup team in recent years, apart from the League Cup, we tend to get the quarter-final or further. But I want top 4. I hate Champions League football, other than the knockout stages. The rest of it, I hate it. Group stage, rubbish. Never liked it. Playing against rubbish teams were meaningless games. But that's what we've got to do. If we want to, we've only got a 3 or 4 year window until Newcastle start buying up everybody. And that 3 or 4 year window is our chance to try and reclaim the top 4. Liverpool have got a team that are ageing. Man City's manager is going to be leaving in a couple of years. Man United are on their arse. They're going to keep going and spending all the money in the world on players that don't fit and managers that don't work. So this is our chance to sneak in there by the back door and do it. So it doesn't matter. We can't compete on all fronts.
No, we can't. I suppose we can't. But I mean, when you think about it now, looking at January where we are now, we've got 2 League Cup games, hopefully a 3rd, and that's it. Then that competition's done, And then in the FA Cup, you would have 4 or 5 more games. So it's not that many more games, and I don't see why, with the league games that we've got plus those few cup games, we couldn't have pretty much played those strong 12 players in most of them, or the majority of those 12 players, rested 1 or 2, rotated here and there. But keep the majority of those 12 in the team. I don't see why we couldn't do that with the number of games we've got left over the time we've got to play them. It's not like we're going to be playing 3 games a week every week. That's when you need to rotate your squad and rest your players. I don't think we need to do it now. I don't think we need to do it all season, and we haven't done it most of the season. For me, one of the problems has been, because Arteta has been so focused on that first 11, picking the same 11 players every week, the ones that haven't been playing, when they come in, they're not ready for competition football. They've only been training. They haven't been playing competitive football. Typical example there. Rob Holding, I feel a bit sorry for him. Tavares is in and out of the team, and they're not playing regular football. And if you're not playing regular football, you can't expect to go in one game and be fantastic. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen, and that's the problem Arteta's got. If he keeps picking the same 11 every week in the Premier League, well, because we haven't got a lot of other games, this is the result of that, unfortunately. And Eddie Nketiah is another one. He's in and out of the team. He plays in the cup games against the League 2 teams and stuff like that. As you said, he stat pads himself, scores a few goals, fair play to him. But when it comes down to it, he's not good enough at this level, is he? And he's not the only one. And I don't know. There seems to be we do have that problem. I agree. We have got 11 or 12 decent players, and we've got a decent enough team when all those play. But when they don't, you can see how weak we are in loads of areas of the pitch, midfield, up front. There's gaps everywhere, even in defence. I mean, our right back situation without Tomiyasu, it's like, wow, what do we do there? I mean, that's a big problem. And yeah, there's loads of issues, and the fact we are in a top 4, and the fact that we have been on a decentish run of results, and we've been playing well up until Sunday. Maybe people aren't focusing on all the other problems that are at the club at the moment that need to be sorted out if we are going to progress. I agree, top 4 is massively important for the money. Absolutely 100%. I also agree, I hate the Champions League. I hate everything about it, but we have to be in it, unfortunately, because that's where the money is, and we need to be playing Champions League football. But yeah, there are a lot of problems at the club that need to be sorted out. And yes, we are maybe moving in the right direction slowly, but not quickly enough, maybe, for what we need to do, because other clubs are moving forward, aren't they? Even some of the clubs that we've traditionally been miles ahead of, West Ham, for example, they've moved forward over the last 2 years. I don't know. I'm just feeling really frustrated with it all, because I feel as though a few decent performances here and there are covering up all the other things all the other issues that there are, and it's good It's good that maybe we're not completely missing them. We are noticing them, but to me, they're a lot bigger than they maybe being made out. I think so. Anyway, now go on, Dorsey.
No, what I was going to add is, it's the FA Cup. We're not the first big club that have been knocked out early doors by a lower league team. Forest are a decent side, and they're on good form in the Championship, and they came and they showed the right intentions to win that game. They fully deserved to win it.
Yeah,
I think that there's an element of that as well. I know we didn't turn up, and we can all be very frustrated with the performance, and rightly so, because it is our competition. It is the one that we generally do pretty well in. But it is the magic of the FA Cup to a certain degree as well. These games, they happen, unfortunately, and it's unfortunate it's happened to us, but it will happen to others. Tottenham went 1-0 down, Liverpool went 1-0 down. It's part of the FA Cup as well. I don't think we should read too much into it. I agree with what you're saying, Rich. It's frustrating because these performances do keep rearing their ugly head every now and again, but it is going to take time to get rid of these, and I do think they are getting further and further between these poor performances. We are playing better in between, but I'm not going to get too carried away with it. It's the same as what Danny was saying. We've got other priorities, and whilst I agree that we probably have got a good enough squad to probably challenge at least on the three fronts. If we get top four, I'm not going to be overly bothered come the end of the season. If we lose against Spurs on Sunday and then we get knocked out against Liverpool in the cup, then we're looking at a different situation, I guess, because then things start to unravel. But we just got to hope that doesn't happen.
I mean, we did say, didn't we, a few weeks ago that January, the first few weeks in January, we're going to define the season because we had the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup semi-final, and one or two big league games. Obviously, Man City, which is gone. We've got Tottenham coming up and a few others. So these few weeks are always going to be defining for the season, actually. And it hasn't started particularly well with 2 defeats in January in a row. Hasn't been the greatest start, although the Man City performance was decent, as we said. We've had a few comments come in, actually, which is good. Rajandra's in the chat there. He says, I think Tierney was put in to put some senior players on to change the lethargy. Well, yeah, it didn't really work, though, did it? Because all their attack still came down that side of the pitch because their guy playing down there was great, wasn't he? Rajandra says Nketiah was not sold as he wanted more money from the buying club. Yeah, that might have been a factor, maybe, or his agent did. And he says, can we get Spence? He was their target. Now, Spence was brilliant. He's the right back that Danny was mentioning before. He was fantastic, wasn't he? He's actually on loan from Middlesbrough, believe it or not. I mean, wow, what a fantastic player he looked, didn't he? He was absolutely everywhere. Yeah. He had a great game. Turf Morehouse TV down with Burnley fans says, how much for Nketiah? Let's talk about, of course, Burnley have sold Chris Wood, or they're about to sell Chris Wood to Newcastle, aren't they? So they need a striker. So you can have him for, like, I don't know, what do you reckon, 15 million? Should we let them have Nketiah for?
I'll drive him up there. Yeah, plus that, yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I'll hand deliver him. I'll drive him up there for you.
I thought we'd be lucky to get 7 or 8 for him at the most now.
Yeah, we probably would be, yeah. I was trying to just boost it up a bit, just so that we may get a bit more money in the pot.
Apparently, if he does go, because he's been in the Arsenal youth system, there's a compensation thing that we'll get for it as well. Or instead of.
Is there? Oh, okay. Oh, well, that'd be good then. Shane's in the chat already, and Shane, he says, players getting the basics wrong, Cedric out of position, holding, passing, can't be blamed on game time. Well, I mean, it does a little bit. Your sharpness goes, doesn't it, perhaps? They're just unteachable championship quality. Some of them are, would not argue with you there. Definitely not. Stan's in the chat as well. Then Stan, mate, he says, good afternoon. Well, it's good evening here. It's good. I know it's good afternoon where you are. It's good evening where we are. And Dan from Turf Morehouse TV says 15 million take that. Well, there you go. He's happy to take it for 15 million. There you go. Deal done. We'll get that sorted for tomorrow. He'll be on the first train up to Burnley. There you go. So we've sold a player already. That's good. See, we don't need Edu. We can do it ourselves. We just sort it all out. Here you go. We negotiated the deal and everything. It's done. We've sold him. So that's fantastic. Right. Okay. So actually, there's another comment there. He says, it's not like being in a relationship for years and grabbing the first girl that shows you attention. We need a striker ASAP. Well, no, you do. You're right. But I don't think Eddie Nketiah is your answer, if I'm totally honest, for your problems that you've got scoring goals and getting out of the bottom end of the table, if I'm totally honest. But you never know. He may do a job for you if you end up getting him. But anyway, I don't really want to talk too much about Nottingham Forest because it depressed the hell out of me. And I was looking forward to the FA Cup. I look forward to it every year. And it's just now, we're out of it. And you look at the team that's in it and you're thinking, why can't we be in that draw? Leicester at home, what a great tie that would have been as well, wouldn't it? That would have been fantastic to have played Leicester at home. The holders, the 2 most recent holders of the Cup would have been great. But anyway, we didn't do it. We were terrible. We got knocked out. But we have got, as I think Dorsey mentioned, and Danny as well, we've got bigger fish to fry, starting hopefully in a couple of days' time. Now, Liverpool, of course, this is interesting, isn't it? Because it's come to light in the last day or so that apparently a load of their COVID tests from last week to get the game called off were apparently false positives when they had a load of players who couldn't play. There you go. It's funny, isn't it? They were already sorted out to play against Shrewsbury in the FA Cup, but when it came to playing against the mighty Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, they could not be bothered to play us. They wanted to make sure they got as strong a team as possible because they're so worried about us. Although if they watched Nottingham Forest game, I don't see why they would have. Anyway, that was the craziest thing I think I've heard. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on in football over the last few weeks. The games called off right, left, and centre. But for Liverpool to come out and say that today or yesterday, whatever it was, when Klopp said it, it's like, really, what are we going to do about this now? You know, can they get away with it? The fact that they called off that game when technically there was no reason for them to call it off. And what are they covering up? I mean, Melvin, what did you make of all of that? I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? Do you think that gives us maybe a little bit more of a little bit more fire for Thursday?
No, because I think we should have had fire anyway. What happened? Disgraceful. I mean, they're taking the mickey now.
Yeah.
Liverpool doing that. And what they did the other day, Thursday night, they're not good enough to play us. But Friday morning, they opened their training thing again. It was shut for 6.5 hours or something. I mean, that's the game, taking the mickey. I mean, they're going, go on, have a go. We don't care because we know we're going to get away with it. So, no, I think, you know, years ago, you used to stick something on the old dressing room of what managers have said about it. Arsenal should do that. Stick that on the dressing room, what Klopp said and what Liverpool have done. And that hopefully should be enough. But they're just taking the mickey out of everybody. In the league's taking the mickey out of everybody, you know. I mean, those tests someone put up today, for them to get 13 or whatever it tests wrong at the same time is like 0.00001%. Perhaps they were putting the swab up the wrong place. I don't know. You know, it might have been they've done that. But
it's just, they're probably all using the same one.
They don't care. They're actually, what they could do next is go up to the ref, whoever the ref is in a game, and give him a wad of notes and go, good luck, ref, have a go. And they still won't get done because it's Liverpool. For some reason, they must have dodgy photographs and some of those people in the league.
I think Stan's got a good point now. He says Rick Parry did them a favour. Of course, Rick Parry's on the EFL committee, isn't he? And he, of course, we know his allegiance to Liverpool. So maybe that's
executive there, wasn't he? Chief executive.
Yeah, chief executive. Yeah, exactly. You know, not that he's got a vested interest or anything, but
no,
I mean, the whole thing. What I find strange, and I don't know what you guys think, but there's been Premier League games called off right, left, and centre for the last 3 or 4 weeks. None of the FA Cup games got called off, not one. And it's the same teams playing them. You've had games in the Football League have been called off, and yet the FA Cup bowls around, third round day, not one game got called off because of COVID. And it's coming in the middle.
You don't understand.
They're calling league games off.
No, but Richard, COVID, if you look at the study, I know you look at the study, COVID respects the FA Cup. You should know
that. bit more than maybe Arsenal did at the weekend, perhaps.
Yeah.
We didn't seem to show much respect, did we? But it's just, I find it all strange. Something strange is going on, and it's like, how have we got in a situation where the clubs have been basically dictating things and saying, well, we don't want to play this game, so we're going to call it off, and getting away with it. And it's just ridiculous. I don't actually necessarily totally blame the clubs. I think the football authorities, the FA, the Football League, whatever it is, should have come out in the beginning and said, we're stopping the season for 2 or 3 weeks, or every game's got to be played. I don't care if you play your tea lady, you're playing the games, or you're going to be deducted points, or you're going to get knocked out of the competition, whatever. The football authority should have done that in the first place. It would have stopped all this nonsense. Because this is just going to drag on and drag on. There's going to be games called off right, left, and centre now for eternity, because clubs will think, well, okay, they're now using injuries. They're saying, oh, clubs got COVID issues, they've got injuries, and they've got players at the AFCON. Well, so what? Clubs have always had injuries. How are they using this as a justification to cancel games? It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I hope on Thursday we go to Anfield and we absolutely smash Liverpool. And Klopp, and I'd like to see what Klopp's going to say about that afterwards, because he's doing my head in as well. I mean, Dorsey, what have you made of all of this? The situation with Liverpool in particular, because that last week is just an absolute joke, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a couple of mates that are both Liverpool fans trying to justify that it was the right thing to do. And what I don't understand is Leyton Orient against Spurs.
Yeah,
Spurs got a bye.
Yeah. So
Leyton Orient had to forfeit that game for whatever reason. I'm not too sure whether that was COVID or what that.
Yeah, it was COVID. Yeah, it was COVID. Yeah.
So exactly the same situation, but the EFL haven't given them the opportunity to say, right, okay, you're in that situation. Let's postpone it, give you a chance to field a team, and we'll play it again. It didn't offer them that chance. Liverpool didn't have any problems with paying Aston Villa, did they? Earlier on in the cup when they had an outbreak at the club. It just seems to be, again, we use this word all the time in football, but it's consistency, isn't it? You just want, and this, I mean, COVID's been around for long enough now that you have, you know what's going to happen. You can put yourself in a situation and say, right, if this is what happens, this is what we do. And I agree with what you said, Rich. You either, if you can't field a team, you forfeit the game. It's as simple as that. If you can't field a team physically, then you either have to forfeit it or a different decisions to be made. But it's not. And I know every club is going to be in this situation at some point throughout the season where they've got outbreaks and there are going to be games cancelled. But that wasn't our fault that Liverpool had that issue, you know. And it's, yeah, you either forfeit the game or you say to them, right, you've got a 2-0 deficit or whatever it is. You give the other team an advantage going into another game. It was just ridiculous. And Liverpool have used their strength and their power and their stature to be able to bend them around their little finger and come to a decision that they like. And Rick Parry has obviously led that decision, and it's frustrating. And I always had quite a lot of respect for Liverpool as a club because they're one of the last kind of traditional clubs left in the country, you know, and there's not many of them left that have got the history and the tradition that Liverpool and Arsenal and those kind of clubs have got. So, but Jurgen Klopp, I mean, he moans about everything, doesn't he? He moans about fixture congestion. He moans about injuries. He's moaning about COVID. It's but like you said, we're all in the same position. We're all in the same boat. We're all going to have the same situations at some point. Players are going to be gone at AFCON, and it's just, yeah, I lost a lot of respect for Klopp himself. I always thought he was a brilliant manager, and Liverpool as a club to do that because it just wasn't right. And the fact that they've just bent over backwards to accommodate what the club wanted is just a joke. It is. I hope we can go out there and I hope we can put on a good performance and kind of if we go through then I guess that's justice served, isn't it? But yeah, frustrating, I must admit.
I mean, it's complete madness, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's complete and utter madness how this situation's got to the point where it is, quite honestly. And maybe Rick Parry has had a big influence. Now, go on, Melvin.
I was going to say, what Doisy said is absolutely true. Growing up, when Liverpool were the team, when I was growing up, going through the 70s, the 80s, and they were unbelievable, right? Yeah. And I still never hated them. I respected them as a club because I loved Shankly when he was there, you know, and the managers they had were class. The footballers weren't all that. I mean, they would put it in as well, but had that respect for them. They did a job. They were brilliant, right? But when Man United were very good and great under Ferguson, I hated them. I thought they tried every trick in the book to win. And and when it got nasty, they tried it. When they didn't get away with it, they started crying. Everything they did, United, I hated. And I've always, as I say, respected Liverpool. But this little incident here, for me, not that it makes any difference to Liverpool, I've lost, like Dorsey, a lot of respect for them. Yeah. Because I thought they were the pinnacle of English football. Now, the history that goes back, when I remember growing up as a kid, it was just absolutely Liverpool. It was fantastic. And they've sold their soul, in my opinion, the Blues. What's the League Cup matter to Liverpool, with all due respect?
Exactly. They don't do well in the domestic cups on the clock anyway. They never take any of them seriously.
That's what I mean. What is it? Why they have to? If it was the Champions League final, I don't think it's right. But you can understand why they did it. This is the League Cup semi-final. What they selling their soul for that for? I've really lost a lot of respect for them. Really have.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, when I grew up, Liverpool were winning everything. They had a great team. Ian Rush was scoring 50 goals a season every single season. And, you know, they were the club that everyone looked up to and respected, like you said. And they had that kind of aura about them. And I think it's faded over recent years anyway, just because they haven't been so successful on the pitch and one or two other issues as well. But what Jurgen Klopp's been doing in the last couple of years, it's not just now. He's constantly moaning about everything, isn't he? He thinks that the world's out to get him, but in actual fact, what he's doing is he's doing what Fergie used to do. He's creating problems so that everybody, like the authorities in football, will back his team. This is what they do. So yeah, I totally agree. I've lost complete respect for them. I mean, what we need to figure out now, though, Danny, is what is the suitable punishment for Liverpool? Obviously, other than us beating them 12-0 on aggregate over the next 2 weeks, what would be a suitable punishment? They can't just get away with this, can they? Now, surely there's got to be some repercussions for them. Otherwise, everyone will start doing it.
They will get away with it. I've just a side note. I've always hated Liverpool and always hated Man United and disliked Chelsea and always hated Spurs. I've not a good word to say about any of those clubs. I know they'll get relegated. I hate them. I hate their fans. I hate their cities. I hate all of it. Never a moment have I gone, oh, that's quite nice, Liverpool. No. If it was my podcast, I'd swear about them. But they'll get away with it. The FA always have a darling, and it used to be Man United, and now it's Liverpool. And they'll get away with it, and they will constantly get away with it because you've got the Scouse Mafia everywhere, whether they're on the pundits on TV, whether they're linesmen who all support bloody Accrington and all that lot, then they say that's who they support. And you've got the people who run the FA, you've got the journalists, you've got everybody. They're all Scouse Mafia. You can't move for them, and they'll get away with it. And if it's not the Scouse Mafia, then it's the Manc Mafia. And I just think the FA are doing whatever they can just to keep Klopp happy, because when Klopp goes, and he will go, and he'll go to probably Spain, one of the big 2 clubs there, because he is a great manager. In fact, that's the only thing I like about Liverpool is Kloppo, because he used to manage my Dortmund. But they'll get away with it, and nothing will be done about it. And then when the same scenario comes up again with another team, they'll be told you play the game or you forfeit the game. They've set a precedent, like Paul was saying, at the Aston Villa game, where 16 players made their debut, either on the bench or starting in that Aston Villa game. And if you look at the League Cup game, the League Cup games for Liverpool this season, they've used 26 different players have started, 6 different players have come on as a sub, and that doesn't include any of the big 7 or 8 players, like the Mane and Salah and that lot. They could easily have done it. But talk about the game. Would we really have wanted them to have played that game then? Because we didn't have enough players for the Forest game. And we didn't. I don't think we'd have done well. I think it's done us a favour by moving it, because then Xhaka probably would have been out, and now we can play the second leg another time. And plus, we've got the second leg at home now, and that gives us an advantage. So I think there are some plus signs to it. And talking about players and having people off, that Aubameyang, as soon as he went off to the AFCON, he went to Dubai, was seen in a bar, didn't play for the Gabon, did he? He didn't, and I think they lost 1-0.
Didn't play. Wow.
I mean, there does seem to be a lot of strange stuff going on, to be honest. We've had a few more comments come in. Going back to Eddie and Ketty, Stan says they're crazy to think Eddie earns 40k a week, the same as Raul Jimenez. I didn't realise that. He said he would like to bring in as a replacement for one of the 3 we're going to lose. Yeah, I like Raul Jimenez. I think he's a great player, actually. He would be a lot better than pretty much all the strikers that we've got. He said Rick Page did them failure. We said that before. And Danny's put in their kids and money. That's right. Yeah, good stuff. Dave from the Out Gunners podcast says, "Good evening, 3 gentlemen and Danny." That's not very nice, is it? Danny is a gentleman, definitely. No doubt about that. Shane says the FA has to investigate Liverpool. Yeah, well, they have to, but they won't. He said it's a joke, but at least Gabriel will be available. And second leg at home. Yeah, I mean, that's what Danny just said. The second leg is at home. I'm not sure if it is necessarily an advantage, depending on how the first leg away goes. If we tend to lose 4-0 at Anfield, don't we? And then being at home in the second leg is probably not going to make any difference. But anyway, we'll see. And Rajendra says Liverpool must be on something, especially their owner. Well, they're just wrapped around, the FA's wrapped around their finger, aren't they? Stan says Liverpool are like Logan Roy of Succession. They just do whatever they want. They do indeed. And Stan says Liverpool making requests to be able to play rush goalies. Maybe let's play Ian Rush in goal. That'd be all right. We might get a few goals in if Ian Rush was in goal, because he's got to be about 55 now, hasn't he? Rajendra says Wolves' request was rejected. Well, there you go. That kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Leighton Orient got kicked out of the competition. Wolves can't get a game cancelled. Liverpool get to do whatever they want. Stan makes a good point here, actually. We'd love to know what the rules say about a game being judged as forfeit. I don't know. In the Premier League, I'm not really sure what that would involve. I mean, would it mean a points deduction? Would it mean just 0 points? Would they get fined? I mean, I don't know what the rules.
3-0 loss, wouldn't it? If they couldn't. I mean, Everton have had their Premier League game tonight postponed, and they've now postponed 3 out of the last 4 games. But in between that, they've played 1 Premier League and 1 FA Cup. It doesn't affect the FA Cup, does it?
No, it doesn't affect the FA. That's what I mean.
Did a Middlesbrough lose 3-0 and have the points taken away or something, didn't they?
That was years and years. Actually, the season I think with the kit you're wearing, Melvin. Actually, I think it was from that season. They failed to play a game against Blackburn because they had a virus through the club. Funnily enough, they couldn't get enough fit players. They requested the game to be called off. The FA said no, so they said, well, we're not playing it, and they ended up. I think they just got 3 points deducted. That was what happened. I don't think it was a 3-0 loss. It just went down as 3 points deducted off their total. The game never got played. And Blackburn were given 3 points. They had 3 points taken off them, and that was it. So that ended up costing them relegation, actually, because they got relegated by 2 points. And had they played that game and lost, they would have stayed up. But anyway, that was a lesson to be learnt, maybe, but not so much these days as you can call games off. But I don't know what the rules actually are. And I don't know what the rules are regarding the cup games either. We've never been told, have we? Because it's not happened very often, I guess. It's only in the last few weeks where suddenly games are getting called off right, left, and centre that suddenly we're even asking these questions. Ryan's in the chat there, Ryan. He says, "Hey everyone, Melvin is rolling back the years. He certainly is. He's rolling back quite a few years with that kit there. Very nice indeed, as we said before." And Ryan says, if anyone mentions Kolasinac training in midfield, I'm tapping out. Well, someone needs to play in midfield. Let's be honest. I don't know. We don't want Kolasinac to be that one. And Stan says, Jurgen Klopp will usher in the fourth Reich. Mark my words. Maybe he will. We'll see. And Stan says we already did that, Ryan. Yeah, we was sort of mentioned that before. So Stan says there's suitable punishment, hung, drawn, and quartered. Me thinks, well, yeah. I mean, that would be maybe slightly extreme, but yeah, it would be suitable as far as I'll be concerned at the minute, because something's got to happen to Liverpool. We know it won't do, but realistically it has to. But let's hope that we dish out the punishment on the pitch these next 2 games against them. That's what would be the best poetic justice for me, is we go out there and we smash them, we get to the final, and that will be that sorted out then. But yeah, it is. I mean, maybe Danny makes a fair point, actually. You know, what state would our squad have been if we'd played them last week? Who knows?
I've just checked up on your Middlesbrough thing. You're right. Deducted 3 points for failing to fulfil a fixture. Got relegated so they got relegated on 39, and 41 would have been safe.
Yeah,
that's why you win all the quizzes.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, it's just things sticking in my head. That's why. But no, I mean, that just goes to show, doesn't it? When there's a suitable punishment in place, and it's been clear that it worked before, they've got to, that's what the punishments are in place for. And if Liverpool are going to get If Liverpool were going to get 3 points deducted, then they would play every single game. If they were going to get kicked out of competition, they'd play every single game. Everybody would, wouldn't they? Let's be honest.
Well, Spurs started their season late, didn't they? Because of the stadium or something to do with that. Quite a few years ago. Yeah, they're renovating the shit Hart Lane, and they were threatened with they had to move all their fixtures to be away fixtures for the first part of the season, and they didn't get docked points or dropped games or anything like that. They were just allowed to get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the games were played, though, wasn't they? Those games were played. They just reversed them, all the home games to away games for the first month of the season or something, didn't they? The game still got played, I suppose. But yeah, maybe that they shouldn't have been allowed to do that, I suppose. But anyway, the most important thing for me now is that obviously the game's on Thursday. It's only 2 days away. It's a big game. It's a semi-final. It's an opportunity to get to Wembley. And we need to, on the pitch on the night, we need to put Forest behind us, first of all. And also forget all this other stuff, that's been going on with Liverpool. We want the authorities to deal with it, but they won't, I suppose. But ultimately, I agree with Melvin. We should use that as a motivation to go out there on Thursday and get the result and say, you know what, you've cheated, and cheaters don't prosper. So we're going to go out and make sure that you don't, and we're going to go out and beat you on Thursday. But I mean, we talk about the game. What do we think the score prediction wise there, Melvin, for Thursday away at Anfield, the first leg? We don't know what the team lineup's going to be for either team yet, do we? There's going to be a few changes from the Premier League 11. I would imagine. Well, the African Cup of Nations is going to make sure of that. Can Gabriel play in the first leg? He can't he? He only got a 1 match suspension, didn't he? So he'll be available. Won't he? So I'm assuming he'll probably come back. Available. Yeah. What are you thinking, Melvin?
I think we get beat 1-0 actually.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, is Smith Rowe back and people like that?
He's fit, obviously. Whether or not they've said that he's back in training and he's available. So whether or not he gets picked is a different question.
But I still think we just get beat 1-0 and be happy with that. I think that's what the players would be like anyway. I'm pretty fancy that.
Well, I don't want to lose, but yeah, I suppose a 1-0 defeat away from home in the first leg of a semi-final isn't a bad result. But then last season's semi-final over 2 legs, we lost by 1 goal away from home. It didn't really help us, did it? So I'm rather hoping we might do a bit better, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did finish 1-0 to Liverpool. Dorsey, what are you thinking for Thursday then, the score?
we're stabbing in the dark, aren't we? Like you say, we've got no idea what either of the lineups are going to look like. It's not been a happy hunting ground, is it, for us for some time now? So
No, it hasn't.
yeah, I kind of sitting with Melvin really. I think I'm hoping I would take a 1-0 now. If we lost 1-0, I would take that into the second leg. Yeah, I'll go with that as well.
Well, last season, of course, I know it seems a long time ago now, but at the start of last season, we did knock them out of the League Cup at Anfield after a 0-0 draw, and we won on penalties. So, we've got recent history of knocking them out of this competition, I suppose. But yeah, different circumstances now, of course. Danny, what would you be thinking then for Thursday night?
Well, the Egyptian Walcott is the AFCON at the moment, and Egypt lost 1-0. He played up front, and he had El Neni in midfield, and didn't really do much. But he's out. He's got 23 goals this season. Mane's out. He's over there. He's got 10 goals this season. So it's going to be the bane of our life. Diego Jota is going to be out front for them, and they're going to score. I mean, I think we're going to have to go for. I'm going to go for a 2-0 loss. And hopefully try and pull something back in the second leg, because Bobby Firmino, he's back and he's scoring goals. But I have absolutely no hope of getting through.
Origi might play. He scores against us as well, doesn't he? Origi.
Yeah, he's got 5 this season. But yeah, so they've got strikers, and what we can do in midfield, because we've got no one, have we? I mean, this would have been the ideal opportunity to then midweek to have had Jack come and play a game. Because poor old Charlie Patino, he was running around like a headless chicken, and he had no idea what he was doing. And so you've got what can we play in midfield? That's going to be the question. Plus, what do you do when you've got Spurs at the weekend? Do we go, well, we're going to play Thursday and Sunday, so players are going to play 2 games in 4 days? I don't know. Maybe not play our best players, because don't care about the League Cup final, getting there, because we'll get Spurs, unless we get Spurs in the final, that'd be good, so we can go there and beat them. But if we get Chelsea in the final, they'll probably beat us like they do every other time they've met us in the final, or Man City or anything like that. Because we've had no luck in the League Cup. We think we lost more League Cup finals than any other team.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm not bothered about the score. I'd rather we get knocked out in the semi-final than people go at Wembley and lose a game at Wembley. Because Arsenal fans have seen us lose too many games at Wembley over the years.
No. See, I disagree. I would rather lose the final than lose a semi-final, because at least you've got to the final. Yeah, you don't want to lose a final, of course, and it's frustrating, but I think I would rather be in the final, because if you're in the final, a one-off game, and if it is Chelsea, we've beaten Chelsea at Wembley loads of times in recent years. Why not do it again? Now, Chelsea aren't that good at the minute, are they? Do you know what I mean? I would fancy our chances, actually. And I think we need to win this competition, because we've only won it twice. And it's, like our record in Europe's really poor. Our record in the League Cup's really poor. And like you said, we've lost the most finals. We need to put that right. And this is an opportunity, I think. But yeah, I agree. Our midfield, you have to look at the options that we've got in midfield and think, who's going to play on Thursday? I don't know what the situation with Xhaka is. Is he available again? Or
he's available.
What about Tommy?
Don't know about Tommy. I just saw clips of stuff on social media saying that Smith Rowe and Xhaka were both available. I didn't see about Tommy.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just hope we've got a few more players. I mean, Smith Rowe as well would be a massive advantage if he can play, because we know how great he's been playing this season. Rajendra says they're 3-0 to the opponent. Well, don't be like that. Anyway, and Rajendra says their Spurs lost 3-0 to Rangers. They were given a 3-0 defeat, wasn't they, for not playing that Conference League game, whatever it was. And they were given a 3-0 defeat. Different rules for different competitions, I guess. Stan says there, heard an interesting stat. We've only had one of our strikers score in an away game this year, Lacazette, with a penalty. Shocking if that's true. Actually, you might be right. I'm trying to. Who was the penalty against?
We usually miss them, don't we? Well, Lacazette scored a penalty recently.
Oh, that was Lee. Was it? No, Norwich, wasn't it? Norwich. That was it, against Norwich.
Yeah.
He's got a penalty against Norwich. Yeah, he's right. Have none of our other strikers scored? Probably not, because we haven't scored that many in that many away games, have we? Because Ødegaard scored against Burnley. That was our first one. Obviously, Ødegaard scored against Everton and Man U. Smith Rowe scored against Man U. I think he's right. I think that probably is our only goal, because Aubameyang hasn't scored away from home this season. He scored
all of our goals are coming from Saka, Smith Rowe, and Gabriel and Martinelli, aren't they?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, certainly recently. So yeah, anyway. Stan says, I didn't know you had a channel, Rich. Just subscribe and hit the bell. No, thanks, mate. Yeah, I've had a channel for a while. I'm glad you finally found it. You'll have to come on, actually. Have to get you on. And Shane says, hopefully the Forest result light a fire under the players and get a draw. I would start 3 at the back if Xhaka not fit. I don't think we should change formation. Every time we change formation, it's ended up causing us more problems than maybe it's solved a lot of the time. But anyway, we'll see who's fit to play. That's going to be the key to this game. Is going to be who's fit to play, isn't it? Essentially, and who's going to play in midfield and stuff like that. We'll have to see. We won't know what to expect until we see the lineup at like 6 o'clock or whatever on Thursday night. I don't think. But if I'm going to be trying optimistic, and I'm going to think we can get a draw at Anfield. I think Liverpool will probably rest a few. I don't know how strong they'll go. I mean, they, like you said, they played all their kids in the competition previously, so we'll see how seriously they want to take it. I think we'll get a draw. I think it'll be 1. I'm going for 1-1, optimistically maybe, but I'm going to go for 1-1. But I might change my mind when I see our team line up, and then I might change that so that I might go with Regenda a 3-0 defeat maybe when I see who's playing. But for now, I'm gonna be optimistic and go 1-1 just because that's what I want to happen.
Listen,
at the weekend, Liverpool are at home to Brentford, so they've got nothing to worry about on Sunday.
Well, I'm not saying Liverpool have become cheats, but I've got a funny feeling on Thursday night they put a couple of their kids out, and one will look like Salah and one will look like Mane in wigs. All right?
Well, they've got to take it seriously now. After all the palaver of getting that first game postponed, they can't then go and field a load of 15, 16, 17-year-olds. They've got to take it semi-seriously.
Imagine if they do, though. Imagine if they do. The same team they could have played last week if they hadn't bothered getting it called off. That would be crazy, wouldn't it?
They did a couple of years ago, and we drew 5-5, didn't we? And lost on penalties.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. We were 5-2 up, and we were 5-3 up or something in that game.
We were 5 everything up.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, a 5-5 draw would be quite nice, wouldn't it, on Thursday? I'd take that, actually.
But it is nice to see that Klopp has embraced the Liverpool Scousers victim mentality for absolutely everything that goes on in the games, but out of the games, on the field, off the field, everywhere. That he's mastered that perfectly. They'll give him the key to the city at this rate.
Yeah, no, he's definitely mastered that, and also with his tracksuit and his baseball cap, he's kind of mastered the fashion as well. So he definitely fits in well in Liverpool, doesn't he? But yeah, you're probably right. Actually, he has kind of embraced the whole culture of the place.
Have you noticed when he takes his cap off, Richard, his hair has become very curly as well?
Yeah.
Has anyone told him to calm down?
He looks like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely become a Scouser, hasn't he? But anyway. Let's hope we knock them out anyway. Whether we lose on Thursday or not, let's hope we do knock them out over the 2 legs because they deserve to get knocked out because they should have been kicked out anyway. So we need to do the job that the Football League and the FA, whatever it was, didn't have the bottle to do, which is kick them out. We need to do that on the pitch by beating them, quite honestly. But I suppose after Liverpool and between the 2 games against Liverpool, there's a rather small game in between that we need to maybe look at as well this weekend. Of course, we know what North London is. It's always been the same for, pretty much 100 years. But Tottenham seem to think it isn't. So we have to humour them maybe slightly for a little while. But this has become probably the pivotal game of the season for us in the league, hasn't it? We do hold an advantage over Spurs. It's quite a small advantage. They've got games in hand. And this game is crucial. But our record away at Tottenham in recent years in the Premier League certainly has been absolutely dreadful. Whether it's been at the old White Hart Lane, whether it's been at Wembley, whether it's at a new stadium, we can't seem to buy a win there in the last sort of 10 years or so. It's been terrible. So I think 2014 was the last time we won. That was that Rosicky goal after about 20 seconds. We won that game 1-0. I think that's the last win we've had in the Premier League. I think we've won in the League Cup since then. But in the Premier League, it's a dreadful, dreadful record. Like we do away from home at all the other sort of top 6 clubs, I guess. It's no different against Tottenham, but we need a result, don't we, on Sunday? Whether even a draw, we can't afford to lose this game because having obviously lost the last league game against Man City as well, and Spurs have picked up in results, even if not necessarily form in the league. I mean, Melvin, what are your kind of thoughts of this? I mean, we can't even contemplate losing to them, can we? It's just not even acceptable to think about.
No, we can't. I mean, again, we don't know what team we're going to play. The only good thing is we know that Son's not playing for them. So,
I bet he does. I bet he's fit. I bet he is.
No.
He's bound to. They always say that, don't they? Kane's not fit. Son's not fit. And what happens? They always play, don't they? Always. Every year.
Right. Say he doesn't play. If he doesn't play.
Let's hope.
I think it all depends what team we put out. I don't know who we can put out. I mean, he's got whatever he's got fit. Arteta, he's got to stick in, hasn't he? He can't say we're saving them for the next whoever we got after that. He's just got this is really a cup final for us, for status and for points. I mean, it's between us and them, really, not just us and them, but they're our main rivals perhaps for the top four anyway. So this is a very, very, very big game. You know, so let's hope we do it. Let's hope we got the players back. And let's hope we continue where we left off with. Well, continue where we were playing against Man City in the games before that. If that happens and we forget we're playing away at Spurs, I think we'll be all right. Well, certainly will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We know it's going to be difficult. Just North London derbies generally are. They're generally tight games. There's not normally a lot in it, especially at away. The away game tends to be a lot of draws, a lot of narrow victories for Spurs, certainly in recent years. I'm trying to think, is this the first time we've played them when there'll be fans in away from home in their new stadium? It is, isn't it? Because the first season we played them, it was during the sort of June time when that lockdown season. And last season, it was earlier on in the season when there was no fans in. So this will be the first time we've played them in their new stadium with any fans in the stadium, but with away fans there. Do you think that's going to make a big difference then, Dorsey? I know we had away fans previously at Tottenham away and we didn't beat them, but do you think that might make a difference? Because it has been strange the last couple of away derbies that we've played.
It's got to make a difference in it, surely. Or not for us anyway. You know, you've obviously got obviously with Spurs with their fans in the stadium, it's got to make a difference to them, surely. There's more pressure on them to get a result, but yeah, you're right. It is a bit worrying about the away form against them lot. It's not been great for some time, but again, we're just talking about the unknown because we just don't know what kind of squad, what kind of team we're going to have available to play against them.
Yeah, but Dorsey, there's no excuse for the team lineup against Tottenham. Whoever plays, whatever 11 players are out on that pitch, they've got to fight and give everything for that 95 minutes.
I mean,
I don't care who starts that game. I'm not bothered who starts that game. Whoever they are, they've got to show how much playing for Arsenal means to them. And the way to do that is to give everything against Tottenham. And I don't care if you're not as good as some of the other players in the squad. When you're picked to play against Tottenham, you give 1,000,000% to win that game.
Of course you do. Yeah, I mean that goes without saying. But what I mean is that obviously the better team we've got to be able to put out quality-wise, the more chance we've got of winning the game. It's not rocket science. We obviously all want whoever plays to give absolutely everything. Of course we do, but I would rather have the best 11 out there that we can possibly field to give ourselves a better chance of winning it. I do think if we do win it, I think that's a huge result for us. I know they've still got games in hand, but that's massive for us to bounce into the next few games. And listen, whatever happens with the Carabao Cup, I agree with Danny. I don't ever like to put all eggs in one basket because, listen, we get knocked out in the third round of the FA Cup. We get knocked out by Liverpool. We don't get top four. Then it looks like like another poor season, depending on where we finish. But the bottom line is we really do need to get back into European football, and that has to be the priority. So if it means that we sacrifice the FA Cup and we sacrifice the League Cup for a season, which will then give us the opportunity to. I don't like doing it. I agree with you, Rich. It's the FA Cup is the one tournament that I absolutely look forward to at the start of every season, but it is what it is. We haven't got a strong enough squad that we can field. It's not taken into account the performance against Forest because that was just shocking. You know, there's no excusing that. The players that were out there were good enough to win that game. But yeah, I think top four's got to be the opportunity that we need to try and take. And if we can get a result, I would take a draw given the circumstances right now. I would take a draw, and that will bounce us into the next games without losing. But it almost feels a bit like that situation we were talking about Everton and Man United. You know, there's two big games that are away from home in 3 days, and we were all sitting there contemplating the possibility of we can't lose both of them, surely. And then obviously that happened. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect at the weekend because I just don't know what kind of team we can put out. And likewise for them, you know, I know Kane loves a goal against us, and there's absolutely no doubt he will score because he scores against us. It doesn't matter how bang average he's been this season. You can almost guarantee that he's going to get a goal. So you're almost 1-0 down before you start, unfortunately, and it's I just don't know what to expect. If we can get Smith Rowe back in, if we can get Xhaka back in, if we can get Tomiyasu back in, that goes a long way to really giving us a much better chance to really push. Obviously, Gabriel will be back, so we'll have our arguably our back four back, hopefully. Smith Rowe back in, so we'll see. But yeah, are you wanting a prediction now?
We'll do it at the end. Yeah, I mean, we will in a minute. We've got a couple of comments in the chat. Shane says, "Does anyone know who's the ref at the Spurs game?" I don't know. I don't know whether Danny knows yet.
Chris Kavanagh.
Oh right, okay.
I saw that earlier.
That's not necessarily good news because he's a bit of a.
What is good news? Which referee is good news for us?
Well, I don't know. Really.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I mean, Stan says there, Arsenal close to agreeing personal terms with Mark Clattenburg as they try to sign a ref like all the other big teams. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one signing that we've been lacking, haven't we? You know, all the other teams, you're right, do seem to have signed one. Danny's put a comment in everyone in the chat there. Are you worried about the cups? I don't care. I want top four. Yeah, I mean, you said that before, and I think we all want top four. But I quite like going to Wembley and winning trophies. I quite like that feeling, especially who we're playing on Sunday. They kind of had a severe lack of trophies, haven't they, over the years? So it's nice. The more that we win, while they're still waiting, is even better for me. But yeah, I think top four has to be the priority. Mark C says, will Gabriel be back? Yes, we believe. Well, he's back from suspension. He can play. He can play on Thursday, actually. And Arteta says Stan says Arteta says Clattenburg the missing piece in securing European qualification. Well, I don't think Clattenburg was that great, was he? What we need to sign is one of the referees that's refereeing now. You know, maybe if it's Chris Kavanagh on Sunday, maybe sign him before Sunday. Although Man City signed their ref at half time and we played them, didn't they? So we can even do it then if necessary.
But then again, we have got a slight ray of hope. I mean, Edu got pelters for the whole time he's been there. They're doing rubbish transfers, and we see the last transfer window was probably the best Arsenal transfer window as a whole in the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So maybe he can do it again in January, because there's no way we'd let Maitland-Niles go to Roma and let Balogun go to Middlesbrough and then know that we've got 3, 4 other players away at the AFCON. And then lot going, now we're not worried about it. We'll get someone in we've never heard of. We'll get a striker and we'll get a central midfielder, maybe another midfielder on loan, maybe even a Ceballos, someone just a ball-holding central midfielder who his first spell was good, his second spell wasn't good because we were rubbish, third time lucky. But I'm fully confident that Edu's going to pull out a couple of diamonds from somewhere.
Well, I mean,
needs to do it quick.
Really? He does need to do it quick. He needs to do it quick, or the season will be over and it'll be too late for this season anyway. And then you might as well wait until the summer, I suppose. But yeah, we do need some bodies. There's no doubt about that. Certainly in one or two key positions, as we know, we've spoken about it plenty of times. We know where our weaknesses are. I'm sure Edu knows where the weaknesses are, and I'm sure he is working on stuff right at this moment in time. After he's watched the show, of course. So afterwards, you know, Edu, you can get back to your work after. Obviously, you know, you're all right till about 10 o'clock or whatever. But until then, you know, you could have a break you have a cup of tea and that. But get back to it. I know that you're in the middle of some really important signings that you're about to make. So we look forward to seeing who they are. But yeah, it looks like that Vlahovic or whatever his name is seems to be top priority. I don't know whether this is true. I mean, Melvin, do you know much about him? Because I don't really. I've seen a few clips of him. Obviously, recently I've been looking at him because we may be signing him. He looks like he's a profile for us. He's 21. So he's in that age bracket that we're looking at. He's got a lot of goals the last couple of seasons, hasn't he? So he seems to know where the net is. Do you think he's the answer to our problems?
Are you talking about the centre forward?
Yeah. Slovakia or Slovenia, whatever he is.
I don't know what to believe. If he's going to take us, if he thinks he's going to do us a favour, then I'd rather not sign him. Even if it's the best thing this side of the Mississippi. To be honest with you, is he the answer to our problems? Well, it can't be any worse than what we've got up front, really. And I know you can't always tell how good a player is on YouTube, but he does look a little bit special.
Well, he can head the ball, can't he? That's something we've not had.
Yeah, that's true.
He knows how to say good morning to the ball, which does help.
Not with his nose.
Yes. No, I mean, he does fit the profile. He's fast. He's strong. He seems very strong, actually. and he's direct. I mean, and he looks like he can move the ball with other players and get into position. So yeah, if that's what it takes, I'll go for it, because I can't think of too many other players out there that we need. We definitely need another central midfielder. Yeah. Unbelievably, desperately need that. And also, one other thing, we need another reserve, or whatever you call it now, backup right back. That is desperate as well. But that's where my priority is for Arsenal at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do with signing a few players, actually. Mark C says 2 strikers. We need to. Yeah, we could probably do with 2 strikers. We could probably do with maybe more than 2, because we haven't really got any at the minute that are any good anyway. And Shane says there, what's a better season, top 4 winning the FA Cup and top 4, or winning the FA Cup and top 6? I know what Danny will say. We don't need to ask Danny, do we? Because Danny will say top 4, won't you, Danny?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I hate Champions League football. Can't stand it.
No, I agree. I mean, what would you say, Mel? Would you agree with that top 4?
Definitely top 4. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it'd have to be the League Cup, not the FA Cup, because we're at the FA Cup, but we can still win the League Cup. So, would we take the League Cup and top 6, Dorsey? Would that be a good season for you?
Not really, no. As much as I love seeing us win trophies, I think for us to really kick on, Champions League football is a must. We can only do so much. We're going to hit a ceiling if we can't get back into that top 4. So the minute we can get back into that top 4, then it opens up some other doors for us to really kick on. But I top 4 all day over any of the domestic cups. I wouldn't always say that, but just in the transition that we're in and the position that we're in, I think that has to be the priority.
It does, yeah. Certainly financially, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think there's any doubt that we need to be back in the Champions League. But I guess, I don't know. I do love winning trophies, and we are in a semi-final, and it's that close, isn't it? You can feel Wembley already when you're in a semi-final, and I don't know. Would I want to?
The bigger picture, Richard. The bigger picture. Come on.
Yeah, but let's be honest, right? We've got 2 games in the next week in the semi-final. The final's at the end of February, so we don't have to sacrifice that. We'll still have 15 league games to play after the final, and we can go and win all them 15 games and get top 4 as well. Why not do that? Why not get top 4 and win the League Cup? Why not do that?
That wasn't an option.
Well, no, but that wasn't Shane's option. It's my option. It wasn't Shane's option. But I don't see why we can't. You know, we're right. We're almost at the League Cup final now, aren't we? If we can get through these next 2 weeks, we've got 1 more game. That's it. So why not do that as well? And we don't have to worry about resting players then, because we're at the FA Cup. We'll have nothing else to play for after the League Cup final, will we? That'll be it. Just the Premier League. That's all. The only games we'll have left, and we'll still have 15 or so, maybe more. Left, so I think we can do both. So that's got to be the priority for me: winning League Cup and finishing the top 4. Which actually George Graham did in his first season, didn't he? Came 4th and won the League Cup. So we've got history of doing that. Let's do it again, is what I say. Stan says there, Europa League is the minimum requirement for me. Yeah, no, minimum requirement. Without a shadow of a doubt, just getting back in Europe, it's got to be the minimum requirement. If we're not in Europe next season, the 2nd season in a row, then for me, Arteta's got to go, regardless of anything else. You cannot have 2 seasons in a row not qualify for it, especially when we spent the money we spent this year. I think for me that is the minimum requirement, definitely. And I know we've been top 4 for a few weeks, and everyone's started getting excited about that. Are we the 4th best team in this league? I'm not sure if we are. Well, time will tell, I suppose. But
we still got one of the cup. Our academy beat Chelsea 4-1 today in the EFL Trophy.
Is that not the Papa John's Trophy thing? Is that what it's called?
It is indeed.
Oh, you get free pizza and everything. That's good, isn't it?
Lovely. So I think that was the area final.
I heard. I got the report of that game, Danny. They said we had a slice of luck.
What, did they have any pineapple on it? Though? That's the thing everyone needs to know.
Yeah, well, we put a few pineapples on if we scored 4 goals against Chelsea. That's always nice, isn't it? Right, okay. We need to do a score prediction for the North London derby. Let's not depress ourselves too much. Melvin, what are you going for? Tottenham away on Sunday.
2-0 win. Come on.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. Optimism from Melvin. That's what we like. Dorsey, what are you thinking? Tottenham on Sunday.
2-1 Arsenal.
Oh, it was a little bit. You had to think about that, didn't you? Melvin was straight in without thinking. You had to have a little.
Yeah, but I think even with that, I'm being a bit over optimistic. But I'm going to try and be positive, and I'm going to because Kane's going to score, isn't he? So we're going to have to score 2.
He probably will score. Danny, what are you thinking? Are you optimistic, or are you going to go with your head or your heart? I guess that's the question, really, isn't it?
It always go over my head. Spurs are rubbish. It's going to be probably 0-0 at half time. The Spurs fans will be shouting and screaming. Conte will be celebrating like he's just won the lottery every time anything happens to try and actually get everyone to believe that he's happy to be there and he's not just there for the 23 million or whatever they're going to pay him. And I think we're going to nick it 1-0.
Oh,
yeah.
Now that would be good.
And burn the place down.
What I like about that prediction, Dan, is that you actually thought it through from start to finish. I like that.
Well, if you heard them lately, their fans are booing them all the time. Every Spurs mate I've got says they hate Conte.
Yeah, I must admit, I've been getting a few Spurs fans coming on the channel every now and again, dropping comments in saying how boring they're playing and stuff like that, how boring the football is. Although they've got a few 1-0 victories recently, so they're not letting in many goals, are they? But I don't know. It is a heart over head thing, maybe a little bit when it comes to the derby for me. Especially away from home because our record there is so poor. I don't know. I'm going to predict Arsenal to win, obviously, because it's a Tottenham game and we can't predict anything else. I'm really not sure what to expect. I think I might go with Dorsey. I think 2-1s are quite a good show, actually, because I do expect Spurs will score. But, yeah, I think we may just, if Smith Rowe's fit to play and if Martinelli has one of his decent games again, like he has recently, we've got a chance, haven't we? Because I don't think they're the best defensively. I don't concede many goals, but I think we can do it. Rajendra says Wenger was kicked out by the fans as fourth was not good enough. Well, it wasn't good enough at the time because we'd experienced so much better. But now we'll take fourth all day long because we finished eighth the last 2 years. And Rajendra says they're 3-1 to Arsenal. Well, he's even more optimistic. I quite like the sound of that. 3-1 would be good. Been a long time since we've scored 3 in the league at Tottenham. 2007, I think, was the last time we won 3-1. When Adam Boyle scored a great goal.
There was something I was going to say about the Forest game. One of the most important things that's missing from that game was Ramsdale in goal, who is like a proper quarterback. The amount of distribution that we get from him and setting up goals. I mean, the number of times that he's lobbed the ball the length of the field onto the foot of whoever's running onto it. And we saw from Leno passing the ball sideways and passing it out forward a little bit, giving it to his defenders. That is a whole complete aspect of attacking that we were missing from that game. But also thinking, if you'd have said at half-time in a Man City game, we're going to lose this game, then we're going to go to Nottingham Forest and lose that as well. You'd have gone, shut up. We're the greatest team in the world. What are you on about?
Yeah, well, no, you're right. Half-time Man City game, the world was a lovely place to be, wasn't it? We were playing beautiful football. We were beating the best team in the world and playing football like that was just incredible. But yeah, you wouldn't have thought we'd lose that game and the next one. But anyway, it is what it is. Hopefully we've got a bounce. But I actually thought Leno played all right against Forest, actually. He made a 2 or 3 saves. Yeah, he made a couple of decent saves, didn't he? And, I thought he was probably our best player. But I understand what you mean. From an attacking sense, what Ramsdale brings us, we did miss that, of course. But ultimately, he made 2 or 3 good saves. And he did what he was expected to do, which is his job, to kick the ball out of the net. And he couldn't do much with a goal. So I thought he did play pretty well, Leno, to be fair. Normally what we do on this show, we like to do a little archive section, go back in times. And I thought the best thing we can do on the, the last show before the latest North London derby is we can cheer ourselves up because we've had a difficult week. So we cheer ourselves up by looking back on some great victories that we remember against Tottenham. There's so many of them, so it could be quite fun. Of course, one of the best days from that picture, we didn't even win that game. We didn't need to win it. We needed a draw. We got a draw. We won the league at White Hart Lane. That was fantastic. That was probably the highlight of North London derbies that most of us have experienced. So we've had 1 or 2 other really special ones. I mean, Melvin, I know, no disrespect to you. You can go back a little bit further than I do. So no doubt your memories of beating Tottenham go back even further than mine, which is good.
We first played them in 1887, but I couldn't get a ticket for that game. No, the first game that I remember that I went to, that we won. I mean, I went to some that we drew, which was 1965. I went to a game 2-2 at White Hart Lane. It was fantastic. But the first game that we won was the first game of the season. We beat them on 2-1. They've had a great defender called Phil Bill, but he did score an own goal. Anyway, we beat them 2-1. And after the game,
was that 1968, Melvin?
Yeah, 68.
I'll tell you why I remember that game is because I don't remember it. That was actually the first game Arsenal played in my lifetime because I was born that summer, and that was the first game of the season. So that was the first game we ever played in my lifetime. Was beating Tottenham away 2-1. So that was good.
I sat next to my old man, wanted the game. We were so happy, and then the next day, in one of the Sunday papers, Bill Nicholson, the great Spurs manager, said, "If you put me under hypnosis, and say what's the worst thing that can happen to me, it would be Arsenal winning at White Hart Lane the first game of the season. Anyway, 3 years later, what happened? We won the league at his ground. I'm sure that was far worse. And I went to that game as well. That's the famous, obviously, the Kennedy goal, 1-0. We didn't need to score, but we did anyway. In fact, it nearly came against us because the minute we scored, they went at hell for leather Spurs and nearly got a goal in the last minute. But that was a great night. There was evidently 47,000 people there. There was, I reckon, more than that outside the ground. I bunked off school to go with my mate. When I got to his house, my father phoned up. I didn't have a ticket. He says, what time are you getting there? I said, well, I've got to get, I'm leaving soon. It was lunchtime. I said, I'm leaving in a minute to get to White Hart Lane. He goes, where are you then? I've just phoned the school. They said you're not there. So what I had to do, I had to run back to school, go in, re-register and bunk off again. Right? Anyway, done that. We actually got in, watched the game. It was brilliant. And my friend, who I'm still friendly to this day, is a Spurs support fan. And we sat next to each other. Can you imagine that? Sitting next to a Spurs support that game. I was in the Paxton Road end. And I was one row from the back. And you could look out where the corrugated iron is. And you can see streets. You can't see obviously down. You can see streets ahead. People still queuing up during the game. It was madness. That was a great one. Obviously, the 71 was brilliant. Obviously, other games we won that was fantastic. Well, what I did miss, I used to go to all the home and away games, not just London either. I used to go to a lot of the other ones when we beat them 5-0 when Sunderland scored a hat trick. And I was abroad at the time. Went with a friend of mine, went abroad, and I think the game was on. We're actually on the flight going. Next day, I'm walking around getting something in a sweet shop. And I just see Sunderland score 3. So I thought, what are they interested in Sunderland for? And then I realized it was Alan Sunderland. Went, yeah, like that. The geezer, I thought he was going to pull a gun on me. The geezer.
Was you wearing that same top then, Melvin?
What's that?
Was you wearing that same top then?
No, it wasn't. No, I wasn't wearing that. I went to the semi-final in 1993 when Adam scored. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'll tell you what was a good game. We only won 1-0. It was 1979 when Frank Stapleton scored the winner in the last minute. And they had a centre-half Spurs making his debut, Paul Miller.
I remember Paul Miller.
Outstanding Paul Miller. Yeah, he really nice guy.
I remember Paul Miller, yeah.
He was outstanding. And he had Frank Stapleton in his pocket, which was no mean feat. And then Frank got away from him and just nicked the goal in the last minute. I went away the September 88 when Marwood, Smith and Winterburn scored.
That one, yeah, that was a great
one
game.
Where Gascoigne scored with his boot off. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was his first goal for Tottenham.
Yeah, first goal. Waddle scored one, and Gascoigne lost his boot and still scored. I used to like Gascoigne.
Yeah, that was a good game. All them goals were in the first half. It was 3-2 at half time.
That's right, half time. That's right.
Winning 3-2. Yeah.
Also, the next season when we beat them at home, when Merson and Thomas scored, that was a good game. I think that was the one. I think that Merson swiveled when he got the first goal. He was like, it's like a funny old shot when he seemed to hit it across his shoulder on the deck. If that makes sense. That was a very, very tough game. One of the worst games I went to that we didn't win or lose was the Charity Shield. I know we're talking about winning. Did you go to the Charity Shield 0-0?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was
one we shared.
That was a shocker.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, recently, I won't go too nearly recent because I'll give you boys a chance, but obviously the 1996 3-1 win with the Wright Adams and Bergkamp scoring in the rain.
Yeah, that was a great game. That goal from Bergkamp, what a goal that was, by the way. Ian Wright's little swivel in the corner.
Yeah. Left, right.
First touch, and oh my God, what a goal that was.
That was
that game. Yeah. That goal completely overshadows the fact that Tony Adams chested one down and half volleyed it in with his left foot. It's brilliant game that was.
That was some of my. I've got some other memories that are draws, but I won't go through that because you want about wins, all right?
Yeah, no, we want to focus on the winning. Obviously, beating Tottenham's the greatest result of the season, usually, isn't it? Generally, so I mean, Dorsey, you must have a few good wins over Tottenham over the years.
There's been so many
to choose from. That's the luxury of it.
Oh well, exactly. Yeah, the first one I was going to mention was that one in '96 that Melvin's just mentioned. That was a brilliant game with a couple of really, really good goals. I mean, where'd you pick? I guess a couple that stand out were the 2 5-2s that we had at the Emirates. there was a couple there that stood out. I mean, how do you beat the same team twice, 5-2 in the same calendar year? It's just
incredible,
ridiculous. Also, obviously the one where Henry scored that goal from his own half, and literally just dribbled it around everyone. As obviously the one where eventually he got the statue. That was a brilliant game. What else is there? So many. Like you say, so many to pick from. Actually, one of the ones I enjoyed the most was a couple more of the recent ones, because we went through a bit of a period where it was a bit of a struggle, wasn't it, to get a win against them. I remember the goal Torreira scored against them. I think it finished 4-2. That game. That was a brilliant game. I really enjoyed that. Obviously, under Emery, it's probably his standout performance. It was brilliant. Aubameyang scored a great goal in that game as well. And then last year as well was a good one to enjoy as well. There's been quite a few recently, haven't there, that you could pick from. But I think if I picked one, I'd have to pick that 96 game. Just those goals in that game, under the rain, at night, at Highbury. Just doesn't get much better. The only thing that would have improved that is if it had been 3-0. But
Well, if you remember that goal, is that the one they cheated with their goal?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It was when we kicked it out for a throw for an injury to one of their players, and then they threw it in and scored from the throw.
Yeah, Andy Sinton, wasn't it, that scored?
Andy Sinton, right, yeah. But that's typical Tottenham, isn't it? That's what they do. They can't score fairly against us. So at least when we did it once that time, do you remember we replayed the game when we played Sheffield United in the FA Cup and we scored a goal? Yeah. We said, no, we'll just replay the game. Tottenham, they celebrated the goal. I thought, what are you doing?
Anyway, that was Overmars and Kanu, wasn't it, with that throw-in?
Yeah, it was. That Sheffield United one was. Yeah. Kanu said, I didn't know what I was doing. I've only just come to England. I don't understand. I don't understand the game. That's what he said, didn't he?
What is this throw-on? We don't have throw-ons where I come from.
So that was good that he got away with it, but we did replay the game. I mean, speaking of Spurs, we've got the Truth Sets Free in the chat, who is a Tottenham fan. He says, big up Richard. He also says there, don't get too cheeky. Well, we're just enjoying ourselves today because we've had a tough week. We're at the FA Cup, so we want to enjoy something this week. And obviously, remembering games against Tottenham that we've won is always nice. James in the chat, James, he couldn't make it on the show tonight. He says, best Arsenal Spurs game he went to was in 2002 at Highbury, 1-2-1. Lawrence scoring that penalty. Yeah, that was a tense penalty, wasn't it? Near the end, I remember that. I was at that game. Yeah, he said it was East Stand Up or exploded. I was on a clock in that day. The clock in went mental as well. That was really good. And Mark says there, great one for me was in George Graham's early days. We went 1-0 down to a Nico Clarkson goal, and Thomas and Rocky put us 2-1 up. Yeah, I remember that one actually. Yeah, that was
the game.
It was Davis. I think it was Davis that scored, not Rocky in that game. I think it was Paul Davis. And
that was Rocky and Thomas because that's my first ever game.
Was it Rocky that scored?
18th of October, 1987.
1987 it was, yeah. Paul Davis scored the year before. Adams and Davis scored the season before we won 2-1. At White Hart Lane. We won there 2-1 so many times in the late 80s, it gets confusing. But yeah, I think it was Rocky that's got that one. You're right. Stan says there, I was at that 4-2 for my 50th birthday, my last live match before moving to Canada. Well, what a great way to bow out. A 4-2 win over Tottenham, one of the best games that the Emirates have seen, actually, that one probably as well. And a great way to celebrate your 50th birthday. On my 50th birthday, funny enough, England beat Panama 6-1 in the World Cup, but Harry Kane scored 3 goals, so I didn't enjoy it as much as I might.
That was a very famous game, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Stat padding from him.
It's the biggest England win ever in a World Cup game, actually. So, but anyway, we don't want to talk about that too much because Harry Kane scored too many. One of them went in off his backside or something, didn't it, in that game as well? But anyway, Danny, you must have lots of great memories of beating Tottenham. I know you have, waiting to fire at us.
The only way I have memories is by looking it up and going, I remember that. But my first ever game was the most important one. The 18th of October 1987, went with my dad who didn't like football. And the only one in my family likes football. Nico Clarkson, like the person in the chat said, scored first. And then it was Rocastle. And then it was Mickey Thomas. I remember nothing about the game because I spent the whole time looking around me and wondering what's going on and all this stuff. I don't remember the first time that I started taking notice of football. It definitely wasn't the first few games. But the games that I like the most, I think Paul might have said this as well, is the games where there's lots of goals. So both the 4-2s, they scored first. And then we beat them 5-4 at the Lane a few years ago. They scored first. I think they scored the first 2. There were 2 up at in the 4-2.
Yeah,
and I like games like that when those mugs they get up and they're all jumping up and down. We're going to do it, and then give them a couple of goals head start and come in and smash them. But I just had to look at all the games I've ever been to. We've played Spurs 11 times and we lost one of them. The rest of them, most of them we drew. A lot of them we drew 0-0 or 1-2-1. But that's not a bad record. Only lost 1 out of 11. That's because I haven't been for a decade. Yeah, but
you need to get yourself back again. Then obviously,
I was going to start going again. The child has said, put her on the insurance for the van. She'll spoon me in the back of the van and go down there. But with all the flu going around at the moment, I don't really want to be going anywhere. So, when it gets to about April, I'm going to start going down to some more games. And maybe next season, if the world still isn't on fire, maybe get a season ticket. It's only cost me 300 or 400 quid for 2 people, which is a bargain. But I'd like to get up a tier this time. I'm feeling a bit rich. But as for the games, just any that we there's lots of goals. I'd get bored with the one when we were 1-0 up. You're just having heart palpitations the whole time, thinking, oh no, don't muck up. But when there's just a slobber knocker and there's goals flying in all over the place, that's what you want. Loads of celebrations and screaming and shouting, and I just hope Saka is going to score one from the middle of nowhere at the weekend, because he's going to be right up for it, because that's one thing that Spurs players don't really have, because hardly any of them have come through the academy. Even Harry Kane's a gooner, and we've seen the pictures of him, but Saka and Smith Rowe and Martinelli, you have those 3 coming at you like a bat with a bumblebee, you're going to be in trouble. I don't know what that means.
No, but it sounded good, so that's fine.
I think Danny's right though. I think you enjoy the ones that have got loads more goals. We touched on it earlier. The one we last beat them at White Hart Lane, and Riziki scored that goal in the first minute. And I remember hating every second of the rest of that game. It was awful. But I mean, it was a goal that deserved to win us that game. But it was just it was horrific. The rest of the other 89 minutes of it.
No, that's the problem, isn't it? When you do score early on, in a way, most of the best games against Tottenham, as Danny says, have been when we've come from behind, because it's more, you get more from it, I guess, as well, more excitement and stuff like that. I mean, there's been so many. My first ever game at White Hart Lane, I don't want to talk about, because we lost 5-0, so we won't really mention that one. But I remember
that.
Yeah, that was terrible. It scarred me for life. That game. I still have nightmares about it now. I wake up seeing George Wood in goal. I'm like, no, not George Wood. Get rid of him.
April '83.
Stuart Robson played centre half, didn't he? That game,
which is absolutely dreadful. It was the worst experience. They were lobbing. The Spurs fans were throwing pool balls at us as well, which was nice. Pool balls in socks and stuff as well. Hang on, you're beating us 5-0. Can't you just be happy? Do you know what I mean?
Mark Falco got a couple.
He did, yeah. That was a terrible game. That was terrible. So we don't want to go on about that too much. But I think it was the following season we beat them twice at White Hart Lane, once in the League Cup, and we beat them 4-2 in the league on Boxing Day. And that was a great game. That Charlie Nicholas scored 2 goals. He always liked to score against Tottenham, and did Charlie, and got a few good memories of him. I say that 4-2 was a good game. I think we might have been losing 1-0.
Was one of them he chipped the keeper?
He chipped the keeper, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And he ran over to the Arsenal fans. That was just brilliant.
That was.
Raphael Mead got a couple as well. Hasn't got the time.
Raphael Mead, that's right. He did, yeah. That was just after Terry Neal had been sacked and Don Howard come in. And suddenly we started scoring loads of goals, which was a shame. We're surprised, rather, when Don Howard was such a defensive coach. He came in and suddenly we were scoring goals right, left and centre. But that 4-2 was a good one. Really, really good one. Obviously, the League Cup semi-final, 1987, famous David Rocastle goal in the last minute when we'd been behind pretty much the whole of the semi-final, and to come back and win it like that was probably, I still think, all the things I've experienced as an Arsenal fan over the years, good and bad, that is probably the top night. I know Anfield's got to be out there, but just beating Tottenham away in the semi-final second leg with the last minute, and it was Rocastle that scored as well. It was obviously my favourite player at the time. That was an unbelievable night. That was probably I don't think anything can match that, really. It was just fantastic. And
then we had that third leg, didn't we? And then Ian Allinson scored the winning goal.
Yeah, we were 1-0 down. Yeah, about 10 minutes to go.
Final.
Yeah, and then obviously we won the final as well. But that semi-final night, that was just unbelievable. That just fantastic experience that was. So that was a good one. I mean, there has been so many. I mean, we've pretty much mentioned most of the best ones. I mean, that one when Bergkamp scored that goal and Adams at Highbury that night in the rain was incredible game. And just so many of them, really. That one you mentioned actually when we won 2-0, Melvin, when Merson scored. That was the day they opened the new boxes at the clock end, wasn't it? Terry Venables and George Graham, of course, good mates they were. That was they officially opened them boxes that night before that game. It was that one. little ceremony before that game. Yeah.
Because my dad knew someone. There was a bloke called Ken who used to look after all the photographers. So Ken took my programme and got it signed by all the Spurs and Arsenal players, and then it got wet. That's the only thing I've ever had that's signed. So I put it in my bag. My bag got wet. So but I remember George Graham and Terry Venables were down by the corner flag near the between the clock end and the east stand, and that's where they're having the photos taken. And I was looking at them. I was a bit in awe of Terry Venables. I always liked him.
Yeah.
He had something about him.
I liked him briefly in Euro '96, obviously, when England were doing quite well. And he was
it's the last time I cared about him.
I quite liked him for a little while, but yeah, I've got nothing against him. He's a nice guy, actually. It's just obviously he's associating with Tottenham, kind of ruins it for me a little bit. But yeah, he's a top man.
One of them was the best man at one of their weddings, wasn't it? Either George Graham was best man at Terry Venables' wedding, or vice versa.
Well, what happened was, I think it was George Graham's wedding. Terry Venables was best man. That was in the morning. In the afternoon, Arsenal played Tottenham at Highbury. They played against each other, and Arsenal won 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a good story, wasn't it?
Lovely.
Imagine that these days. We get married in the morning and you play a North London derby in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. Can you imagine that? It just wouldn't happen now, would it, at all? But anyway.
It would if you're a Bamiyang.
Well, yeah, probably. And Stan says, yeah, Terry Vegetables. Yeah, that's what we used to call him, didn't we, back in the day? They were happy days, actually, weren't they, at that time? And then, of course, they got David Pleat, didn't they, as well as manager? That was quite a funny time, wasn't it, when they had David Pleat as their manager? And the T-shirts that we had, remember when he was it curb crawling or something, wasn't it? And we had all them T-shirts about that back in the... And
the goals, when it blow up goals we threw at him.
Yeah.
That's what cost him the job. It weren't the T-shirts, it was the doubles going on the pitch never helped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. James says Flamini's screamer game was good as well. Loved it when he hit that. Oh, that was in the League Cup, wasn't it? Yeah. He scored twice, didn't he, Flamini? Yeah, and that second one on the volley, that was an unbelievable goal. That actually, yeah, that was a great moment. I forgot about that goal. Actually, that was a brilliant goal, wasn't it? But yeah, I think that might be the last time in all competitions that we've won away at Spurs. Actually, that Flamini game. I don't think we've won since then at Tottenham in any competition.
I remember another goal that stood out. I've just remembered actually from him mentioning that was Adebayor, who scored at White Hart Lane when he was on the edge of the box. Flicked it up. Hell of a finish that was. Didn't like him.
Fabregas scored a great goal in that game as well.
He did, yeah. All three goals we got in that game were good. They were.
Yeah.
Stan says David Pleat got done for curb crawling in Luton. Yeah, something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, I know we had the T-shirts about it. I just remember that. He got a load of stick, which was quite funny. And Mark says Venables might have ended up manager. Yeah, I think there was speculation at one point. 86, I think it was. Talk of him coming.
He says in his book 3 times he turned down the Arsenal job. One because he said you got to tell Don Howe before you offer me the job, and then the next time they offered it, said if you told Don Howe, and they said no, John, I'm not taking it. 3, and then when he come back to Barcelona.
Yeah, that was 86, that one.
But in his book 3 times. That you were right. The last time we won there was April 2015 in the League Cup. The Flame Flamini double.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, too long. It's too long. We need to go there and win this weekend. Actually, now I don't care about anything else. That's too long without winning away at Tottenham, isn't it? I know they've got a terrible record away at Arsenal. They've only won twice in the whole of the Premier League history, haven't they? So, but even so, we've got to put that record right. That's ridiculous. We can't have that. That's far too long, isn't it? That's that's madness, actually. To not win away at your rivals for that long. I mean, that's disgusting, actually. We've got to sort that out. So, yeah, whatever happens, I don't care what happens. We've just got to win this game on Sunday now, even more so, because that is a long time without a win away at Tottenham. So, yeah, we need... The Truth Sets Free there says, when my favourite player of all time, Obi Martins, scored versus some team last to play win the Carabao Cup. Yeah, we know he did.
Ban him.
He didn't really score, did he? It was given to him on a plate because Koscielny and Chesney had a bit of a moment, didn't they? Got in each other's way.
Did he score a hat-trick against us for Inter Milan or something?
He scored 2, I think. When they won 3-0 at Highbury, he scored 1 or 2 that night, yeah. Because he did his little celebration.
He looked pretty good that night, didn't he?
He did, actually, yeah. And then he ended up playing for Birmingham. So there you go.
There we go.
He was on loan there.
He was on loan at where? At Birmingham?
Yeah.
Was he?
I think he was.
He played for Newcastle as well, didn't he?
Didn't they, Danny?
Hey?
They loaned him for that game only, the League Cup.
Oh, I know he didn't want to stay after.
Yeah. funny enough, I used to work with a guy, and he was actually in the Birmingham squad that day. He was one of their young players, and he wasn't on the bench, but he was in the squad, so he travelled to be with them, and he watched the game from like where all the players and that sit. He said that was really good, and obviously they had a great party afterwards. And he said Arsenal was really classy about it all after the game as well. Everyone at the club was congratulating them and was but that's just Arsenal over, isn't it? Just a bit of class, really.
He was on loan at Birmingham from Ruben Kazan. He played 4 league games, no goals, and he got 1 in the FA Cup and 1 in the league. And then he went off to Levante. That's a bit of a move, isn't it? Birmingham to Levante. There's only one winner there.
Yeah, there is. He played for Newcastle as well, didn't he? Obafemi Martins. Was before that, wasn't it?
3 seasons, and the last team he played for, Wuhan, in 2020.
Did he? He started it all. Okay, we know him to play rugby.
True, he did. That's the last place he played. I've not seen him since.
When was that? About February 2020, was it? Is that when it was last in Wuhan?
Yeah, it was 2020.
How can he still be playing? How many years ago was the League Cup?
Actually, it says on September 20th of September 2020, he had his Shanghai contract terminated.
Did he?
Oh, and then he joined Chinese Super League club Wuhan Zhou on a short-term deal. So he went to Wuhan in September 2020.
He didn't care, did he? Actually, he wasn't bothered at all. Fair play.
It all broke out there.
It's funny how things go. It's funny how things go around in circles. We're talking about Obafemi Martins. It was actually Obafemi Martins that's actually led to the Liverpool game against us getting called off last week because he started it all back in 2020 when he was in Wuhan. So there you go. It's come back round again. And the 363 says he dominated the MLS in Seattle Sounders. I think he did play in America, didn't he, as well? Obafemi Martins.
I hate the Seattle Sounders. Being a Portland Timbers fan, I hate them.
Okay, well, I don't know enough about it to like or dislike anybody, but the only team I remember was it something Cosmos, New York Cosmos, when Pele played for them back in the 1970s.
Not even an MLS side,
aren't they?
They are the division below the MLS, but there's 2 divisions below the MLS, both equal.
They used to be quite good, though, didn't they? New York Cosmos.
Did, yeah. NASL, North American Soccer League. They were the team to beat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think everyone played for them, didn't they? Yeah, a few of like English players went over there in the summer, didn't they, and played during the off season over here. Yeah,
Georgie Best. Was it Georgie Best?
Yeah, Georgie Best. Yeah, I think Georgie Best plays for him. Yeah, that's the only reason why I know him because there were so many famous players used to play for him. But yeah, I didn't quite understand when I was a kid at that time. I didn't really understand like football in America. I'm thinking, what's that all even about? I didn't quite get it really. And it hasn't
really good documentary on YouTube called "We Once Were Giants." I think it's called, all about the rise and then the collapse of the NASL. Really good documentary.
I might have to watch that then. That sounds quite interesting actually, because I remember it when I was a kid. True Sets Free says he won the League Cup for Shanghai in 2019, scored the game winner. Well, there you go. And then of course he went to Wuhan, and we know what's happened since then. But yeah, I mean, obviously, lots and lots of wins against Tottenham. I think we've beaten them nearly 100 times in history. What we've got to remember is, though, I don't like it when they say on the telly that there's been like 180 North London derbies. No, there hasn't. Arsenal and Tottenham have played each other 180 times, but the first 25, we wasn't a North London club, and neither were they actually, because they were in Middlesex. So we've only really had North London derbies since 1919. Was 1919 or 1920 was the first one?
I think it was 1961 when they that part of Tottenham was added into
London. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was.
Or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyway, right. Okay. Well, that was pretty good memories. I do like a few memories of beating Tottenham. And let's hope we've got another one on Sunday we can talk about next week. The latest memory of beating Tottenham. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Well, okay, we'll wrap up the show. It's been some great fun. I feel better now after talking about that for the last 20 minutes. It's always nice to think of it. We've forgotten Nottingham Forest already. We forget about Liverpool cancelling the game. We don't worry. We've just spent 20 minutes talking about beating Spurs, so that's nice. Melvin, thank you very much for joining us again. Where can people find you?
Basically on this channel mostly, also on Ryan at Mr. Arsenal 89 and from Dull Square to where. But thanks again, really enjoyed it as always. Thanks, Richard. Lovely to see you, Danny, and again, Dorsey. Terrific.
Thanks.
And Dorsey as well, pleasure to see you back. And where can people find you?
Yeah, I've been away in Scotland over Christmas, so I didn't have a laptop or anything. So, and the Wi-Fi there is absolutely shocking. So there was no point even trying to attempt to join a show. So apologies for that. But yeah, good to come back on. Good to talk about beating Spurs. Hopefully we'll do that again on Sunday. But yeah, just head over to my Twitter page on there at Dorsey2801. Come and say hello. But yeah, you can find me on here most weeks as well. Cheers for having me on again, Rich.
No problem at all. Always a pleasure. And I say the Wi-Fi in Scotland, I think you need a COVID passport to access it. So that might be why it's a little bit patchy, because they've gone a bit mad up there, haven't they? And Danny, of course, your first time on the channel, you enjoyed yourself?
It's always good doing. I've known Melvin from seeing him on Twitter and Dorsey, and recognise the pair of them. And it's always good to talk to you, Rich. Always have a little bit of a moan about the state of the world and some lovely football facts. That's the good thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for asking me.
No, it's always a pleasure to chat to you. As I say, we've been on a few things together over the course of time. I say it's the first time we've been on a channel, funny enough. So we have to get you back again, definitely. Yeah. It is always. Where can people find you, just in case they want to? Because I'm sure they do.
Birdcamp Wonderland. There you go.
And that's on YouTube. That's on YouTube. Yeah.
Go to DuckDuckGo and type that in, and then enjoy all of our fruits.
Yes, very good stuff indeed. Definitely recommend that for everybody. That's good stuff over there. Truth Sets Free says they're banning him, a loyal supporter. He says loves Pepe, thought he'd work. Well, I sort of hoped he'd work, but he hasn't. But anyway, Shane says there, thanks lads, great stream. Important week ahead. Come on, you Gooners. Yeah, it is a very important week ahead indeed. It definitely is. And Stan says, good chat, lads. Yeah, good to see you in the comments. Now we have to get you on the channel actually as well. That'd be good. You've always got some interesting things to say as well, so that would be good. So we'll sort that out as well. So thanks to all you guys for watching. I'm back on Thursday for the Liverpool game to watch it long. 7:30 I'll be live, unless Liverpool bottle out of it again, but hopefully they won't this time. And you know there'll be no more false positives or false anything. It'll just be some proper football, and we'll beat them and knock them out, and that'll be fun. So join me for that 7:30 on Thursday. Then Friday it's the Arsenal Women's Show. That's 7:30 as well, with the usual panel on. We'll be looking back on a disappointing Arsenal women's defeat actually last week. Big game coming up this weekend as well. Loads more stuff going on there. And then, of course, on Sunday, I'll be busy on Sunday because there's 2 watch-alongs. We've got the Arsenal women against Reading at 2:30 kickoff, and then the big North London derby at 4:30 kickoff. So I'll be sort of live streaming for about 5 hours. So if Arsenal lose both them games, I will not be very happy. So, you know, I'm putting some time in to do it. So the least they can do is turn out and play this week, not lose, because last week we lost twice on Sunday and I wasn't very happy about that. The Truth Sets Free says, thanks guys, blessings to you all. We look forward to Sunday. I'm sure you'll be in the chat on Sunday. We'll have some fun with that, I'm sure, during the game. Hopefully it'll be more fun on our behalf, not on yours, but anyway, we'll see what happens. So yeah, please join me for all of that. I'll say I'm back on Thursday for the watch along. We'll be back with a Tuesday clinic next week to look back on these 2 big games and look ahead to the second leg against Liverpool. Hopefully we've got something good to play for in that game, and loads of other stuff going on. Of course, we've got Burnley as well the week after, who maybe Eddie Nketiah might be there since we've sold him tonight, so he might play against us. We'll have to see. 15 million is not bad. I want at least $1.5 million as a bonus for organising the deal, really. But anyway, we'll see. I'm sure I won't get it. But yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to Melvin, as always. Dorsey, of course, fantastic. And Danny, his first time on the channel, been an absolute pleasure. And I'll see you all Thursday for the watch along. Be a good game, that. So please join me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you very soon. Take it easy. And of course, in the meantime, as always, come on, you Gunners. Come on. Big week. Let's do it.